Hi, welcome to the lighting video. We're going to go over basics in lighting for Unity. I'm using Unity 6.0, so you can see here 6.0.341 is fine. Any 6.0 is fine. Any of the Unity 6 will be very similar. So if you're on Unity 6, this will be great for you. Okay, so I've set up just a platform here, a simple platform, simple scene to do some lighting demo for you. And I put in a skybox under my lighting window. And I have gotten my two default when I open a new scene, which is the main camera and the directional light. So let's start with the directional light since it's already put into our scene once we open it. Okay, if I hit the directional light and I go into the inspector here, we can see a few different things. Okay, so the first thing we're most important about, or we need to pay attention to is here, what type of light is it? It's a directional light and it's in real time. All directional lights by default are set in real time. Now, the directional light basically simulates the sun in the sky, as you probably know from video before or demos before, that you can alter this light and the angle of it by just tilting on it. You'll never actually see the sun itself with this, but you can change how the light works here. And you can tell it's real time, which means that the shadows are done in real time. So if I even put on my game view for you here, you can see that it's operating in real time as I move it. I'm going to tell you what this means in a few minutes as we go into baked lighting. But first of all, we have real time. This means your shadows and your sun light will operate in the moment instead of having to preset it. Okay. Now for this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn off my directional light by clicking this little checkbox here, which turns off elements inside of my window. Okay. I'm going to go to my lighting tab, and if you don't have it already open and set next to your inspector, the easiest way to find it is under Window, Rendering, Lighting. So it's an important tab while we're doing lighting. You'll probably want to have it docked somewhere, in your scene. I like to have it here next to the inspector because the size of it fits pretty well right here and it's convenient. Okay. So if you remember, if we click on the environment tab, we have some place here, a slot here for our Skybox. So you can change your Skybox to any kind of Skybox that you want that you may have already downloaded. Like if you download a pack of Skyboxes here, I can change any of these views. Let's say I want to put in this one. You can see it automatically changes it to a night sky. You can also create a Skybox fairly simply using your camera by taking a 360-degree photo using your panoramic settings. So you want to go 360 and then import it as a Skybox. We can go over Skybox in another video, but for this time, just to know that this is what your Skybox is. Now your Skybox will be putting off its own light and its own shadows. So you can change the intensity of your Skybox here, and this is how the light is coming in through the Skybox. For this demo, I'm going to have it turned down so that you can see the lights as I'm operating the lights. So we'll leave it down to 0. But you have this for your Skybox intensity. Okay. You can also multiply it here around. You can see how this is lighting up the ground here. The bounces is how many times it bounces the reflections. Usually you want to keep that on 1. The more often, the more that you have, the more it takes up memory space on your computer. So you usually want to have it at 1. You don't necessarily need to have it there. And you can keep these at default, although you have options to change them if you want to for your resolution. 128 is perfect for what we're doing. So I'm going to drop my intensity down just a little bit because I want to be able to show you the lights as they're in action as we go through them. Okay, I'm going to go back to my inspector and pull this over a little. We can see now in my directional light, my I'll go over my directional light just a little bit so that you can see the settings before we get into it. So you can see it's still putting out daylight. So my skybox is contributing to my overall environmental lighting and my directional light, unless I have it turned off. Now I can change the color of the directional light here. So if I have a nighttime scene like this, I think I want to make it a cooler color, right? So because the moon is a cool bluish color, and I can choose, like, say, this one, and you can see it's completely changed the whole atmosphere of it. I can also change how intense it is here by just uh, putting in a new, this is our multiplier, how it will do this. It'll multiply the light that I have inside my intensity. So I can change it really quickly here. I tend to leave mine on 1 default, but maybe you want to have it brighter and you can change this for later. So at least you know what these are, okay? Here are your real-time shadow strengths. This means, like, as I'm moving this around, right? The shadows, how strong are your shadows? I like mine kind of strong, leave it set to 1. It's pretty good. This is how strong they are close to you. Okay. I tend to use soft shadows. It's very nice. And we'll do this per light, and I'll explain this as we go. So again, I'm going to turn off my directional light and set us back to an unlit, basically unlit scene here. So you can see that I've got this prefab that I've loaded up in here. It's a prefab um, from Pro Builder. I've got my Pro Builder plane and a prefab structure that I've built and put in here. I've also added a column here, and I've added this cube here, which I'm going to show you the effects of shadows with this one. I did upload a statue as well, because some sort of artifact so that you can see, we'll light that in real time. Okay. So for right now, this is what I've got here. Now we have, in addition to our directional light, we have several other lights we can choose from. I've already put them in here, but the way that you can add a new light is either to right click, go to light, and you'll see that we have directional light, directional moonlight, point light, spotlight, and area light. These are all of our lighting options. So if I create a point light, you can see this right here is all the radius, the information of the radius of the light, how far out it will go. And here is its rotation. Okay, I can also just click here for its movement because here it's right here, my light. You see as I bring it, let me bring it out here, it's behind my wall. Okay, so if I go in, you can see it has this little light icon here, light bulb icon. Now, a point light is basically a light that radiates out in all directions. But these are really great, just like this little light bulb. They're really great to actually put inside of lamps or to light up areas. You know, so maybe you have a, a dark corner somewhere and you want to have it kind of have a light there. You can put one there. So, and I can move this around. Okay, I'll give you some options. And if I go back out, this is how far out the radius is on it. So I can bring in the radius of my spread here of my light. And if you look over in my inspector while I'm doing this, you can see the range changing there. Okay, so there's 2 ways of doing it. You can change it using these little handles, right? Or you can change it over here. Now remember, if you put your mouse right next to any kind of number, including like position, rotation, scale, here you'll see these two little arrows. If you click and hold your left mouse button key, you can drag and drop it where you want it instead of just entering a number. So there's that quick shortcut for anything that has numbers, all right, in case you don't remember that. Now, we have several settings we can choose from here in our inspector for our light. So we have a point light. We can always switch it to something else if we want, but we want our point light, stay the point light. Now it's running in real-time mode, which means that the shadows are happening as we speak, okay? This takes a lot of processing power for our computer, and depending on where you place it, you may want it to be uh, baked, or you may want to have it be mixed. That means that it'll have mixed will be real-time shadows, but the light will affect the walls and stay there after we bake in a lighting map, okay, which I'll explain in a minute. It tends to be like if you're trying to save space on like a mobile game or something, you'll want to use baked mostly because it takes a lot of processing power for mixed in real time. You don't really have to worry about that with what we're building right now because your computer should be able to handle it. But if you are concerned, you can always change it to baked, okay? So I'm going to put it on mixed because it will have, it'll give me both shadow intensity and real time if somebody's moving through my light, like my character is moving through my light, it will give it like a real time shadow inside of that timing. It won't um, just be static, okay? So I have several options. I can change the color here in addition to the range, and I can change the intensity. So let's say I want to make this a really bright light. I can just change my intensity to 10. Okay, this is, remember, your reflections, your indirect multiplier. So maybe I want to have 2. Okay, I can change the color here. So I can create like a blue light here. And now you see how it's affecting things. So this statue, what I can do is I can bring this light over closer to it, and I could place it against my statue if I want to light it up. So you can see that it's only doing directly where it is. And if I want to bring in my range a little bit, actually, I could just light my statue, which is kind of nice. You can do it for the base or whatever. Maybe a more effective light would be something else, and we'll look into that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this point light and show you the point light that I already have set up for you. I have it here. I have it turned off. I'm going to turn it on. And the intensity of it, because I have it here as a baked light, I'm going to show you what that means. Now, a baked light means that I'm going to create a pre-lit scene because it's a static light and I'm not going to have anything walking through it, let's say. I'm going to have it just be sitting there and the shadows don't need to change. In order to do that, I have to go into my lighting tab, and in my environment, I'll see this thing down at the bottom that says generate lighting. So I'm going to do this, and you'll see down here it's working. It says global illumination. It's working to check what the lighting is, and it's going to create a map. And we'll give it a second here. And so now you can see that my lighting has completely shifted. It's because I have no lights, no directional lights on at all. And this is what it will look like in the lighting here. So let's go back to my inspector and let's make sure that it's visible. And I want it to be, let's say my intensity, it seems like it's really low, so we need to adjust it. Unfortunately, with baked things, you have to um, adjust them and then rebake every time. So let's say I'm going to double click this and give it a little bit lighter so you can see it, the color. And I want my range maybe just to be a little bit wider. And I want soft shadows. Okay, and culling means that the light won't go through something. So it's not going to go through anything. And I just leave it on everything. That's the default. That's fine. Let's go back to lighting and generate lighting. You can see here the light maps that it's generating as it generates here. Now, if we go in, let's see if we can show you how it's lighting here. I want it to be up against the wall, actually. So you can see it. Let me put this in 4. It seems very low, so we're going to increase it and rebake it. It's not really showing. I'm going to switch this to mixed lighting or real-time lighting, actually. And I will rebake this. I'm not sure why it's not seeing my point light right now, but let's move to the spotlight. Turn it on. We'll go back to the point light in a minute. Okay, so I've set up a spotlight, and a spotlight is just exactly what you would expect. Spotlight is our second light that we can create from here. Spotlight, I'll create a second one here so that you can see it. This spotlight has a direction and is very focused, just like any kind of spotlight. We want to make sure it's on real time. Let's turn up our intensity to 200. And let's pull it up here so you can see it. Let's do our range. You could, if I pull it up, you can see that you can adjust the tabs of how wide or how low it is. It's not, it's way back there. So let's bring it forward. Okay. So you can see it here now. Let's put our intensity back down to maybe 100. Okay. Now you can see the range. It will go wide or narrow depending on how you want to adjust it. You can also adjust how far down it is because we don't really need it to be clear under the floor. We can have it be a little bit closer. And you can see this is all shifting my numbers here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up under my statue because I think it will be nicer under my statue. I'm going to point it up. I can change it here to 180, negative 180 actually. That's actually, we only need it negative 90. Okay. And then I will bring it down and bring it over towards my statue. Okay, now I don't need quite the range that it's giving me, so I want it to be about there. See if I want to bring it up a little. I kind of like this eerie look, but let's change the color to like this light blue, this like luminous blue. And now you can see in my game view, let me go over here for you. You can see how that looks. So it looks fantastic. Now, let's go back over here to the other point light that I have already set up here. I mean, my other spotlight. Okay. Now my spotlight here has a weird kind of look to it. And I want to show you how you can do this. Okay, so it's the same kind of settings that we have from the other spotlight, but I've added a cookie here. Now, a cookie is pretty cool. It comes from the word cucoloris, which is an old film term where they would put like a pattern in front of the light. You can do this with any of your lights. The best thing to use for a cucoloris is a black and white image. So you can import in your own black and white image to use, or we can choose one out of our thing. Like I saw, let's use this letter box that was up here. Let's use this one. Okay, so now I've done that by selecting this little, it's hard to see here, but there's a little button right next to your cookie. And you can see I've put that in there and it's given me this cool font thing. Okay, so what it's doing is it's blocking anywhere there's black and letting light through anywhere there's white in my image. So you can see my cookie here. So if I put this one in or this ice one, that's what I had in before. You can see how it creates a pattern. You could put this on almost any light you want, including your directional light. Okay, so it kind of gives you some fun shapes that you can work with. Let's see what other kind of black and white ones I have in here. I'm not sure I do. Here we have a platform map. It's not as exciting, but and here's some flame things. How about this one? There, that's kind of a nice one too. Although I really like the words, they were kind of cool. So it's up to you if you want to use a cookie or not on your lights, but they can create some cool effects, like especially if you have outside in the bushes or something fun like that. That is how you add that. Okay, now all this is the same. It's got the cooling mask, everything. I'm using soft shadows. I can always switch it to hard shadows, which will change the way that it looks. The shadows will look um, from the anything passing through it and in the back behind. So if I want to, let me show you here the shadow. So you can see the shadow here, and let's switch it to soft shadows. Go back to my spotlight and switch it to soft shadows. You can see that it softened the edges around the shadow here, around this cube. So this is the difference between soft and hard. Sometimes hard shadows will leave a little pixelation and it's not ideal. So I prefer soft shadows. And you can set the resolution to them. This will also save your computing time. How strong are your shadows? You can make them softer or harder here of the light, right? I had them kind of hard so you could see them. This is almost like making your object opaque if you wanted the ones in front of it. So you have a bunch of settings that you can use for your shadows on any of the lights. Okay, so let's go to our next light and go back around here. And we have an area light. Now area lights must be baked. So let's go to light, area light. Okay. Now an area light is a flat light, and a flat light that's transparent. It can be put anywhere. So I've put one around this door here for you to see. Um, when I turn it on, you'll see it. But this light, let's bring it out here. You have to bake it to see the effects. You can see where it's pointing by this direction here. If I rotate it, you can see, okay, it's a flat light and it's going to be pointing towards this wall now. Let's increase the intensity to 200. This is so that you can see it, and change it to, say, red, something like this. And let's go to our lighting window and generate lighting. Okay, so now you can see it actually. You can see the red here. I need to pull it out a little bit because it's back behind the wall. Um, if I bring it out here and rebake it again, it's baking now. You can see it down at the bottom. There, you can see how it changes. So it just depends on where you want to place it. These are great for placing in windows, for adding to like lights that look like the fluorescent bulbs in the ceiling, anything like this. Okay. So, but they do have to be baked to be able to see them. And that's the biggest challenge with these is placing them. Let's say I want to place it so around this door here. And let me go back to move. So it's pointing in here. You can see that the light stays here. That's because this is being moved as we speak. I want to bring it in here into my doorway because I just want to light the inside here. Now I could adjust the size with these handles as I do this. Okay, so let's kind of fit it in this doorway. I don't want it to go over the doorway edges. I just want it to face there. And let's regenerate the lighting. You can see it working down here in the lower right corner. It's using my CPU to do this. And it's generated, you can see it shining really bright there. Obviously, it's up a little high. I'd want to turn down the intensity if it was just a warning light, for example. So maybe I want to turn it to 50. And I want to darken the color just a little bit. Then I could go back to my lighting tab and regenerate. So you have to fuss around a little bit with baked lighting. And real-time lighting you can set in real time. But these are great for areas like you want to enter it and it's like a warning zone. Here's my game view. Now you can see it. It's looking quite nice, isn't it? Can't see the ground or anything, but that's okay because we're going to adjust that next. Our last light. So far we've gone through a few lights. We've gone through directional light, point light, spotlight, and area light. So the last one I want to show you is a moonlight. Okay, so you have a directional moonlight that you can set up if you want. Okay, it's just like the directional sunlight, but it automatically gives you the color of the moon. So you can use it this way if you want for moonlight, or you can use the directional light and change it to moonlight. So depending on what you like, I'm going to delete this one here. And I'm going to turn on my original, I have here moonlight that I've already set up. And I have another area light that I set up, which is in the same area as here. But I've got these ones. And I'm going to go ahead and regenerate my lighting. And you should be able to see in the game view. Now you can see a nice lit scene with moonlight. So it gives me then the ability to use real-time shadows. So if I move this cube, you can see the shadows are moving. However, if I take this box into this area where I have my area light, you'll notice there's no shadows because it was not baked into the light map, okay? Any kind of light that you use baked on, it will set the light and the shadows, and it will not change it. So it's great for areas that are static, like corners of rooms where no one will walk through, backgrounds where nobody will walk through, set them to baked. But like this statue, we know that that's going to just stay the way it is. We can leave it as baked. But if I'm having somebody like say walking under a street light or something like that, you're going to want to have it either mixed or real time so that your shadows actually work. Area lights are used just to light areas, and so that's why they don't really have a mixed light setting. Okay, let's look in the inspector and I'll show you. Baked only. Okay. So you can obviously, this is where we adjusted the handles. You can adjust them here. It has the same thing with your range setting, your indirect multiplier. Does it cast shadows? This is only baked shadows, meaning the shadows that it bakes in, like if I put in my cube, let's do this now so that you can see it, because it's very confusing sometimes when you first try to understand what is baked and what is real time. So let me put my box in there. Let's get a different view so we can see it. And I'm going to regenerate lighting. And it should give me a shadow of my box from the area light. Maybe it's not close enough, but let's go in and look. It's too soft. The lighting here is too soft and you can't see the shadows. But you can see them through this door. So let me take this cube out here and you can see this way. So if I push my cube back and forth through here, you'll notice that there's no shadow here. That's because this light is baked. Okay. If I had placed my box, down here on the ground and wanted a shadow, then I could regenerate it and create a shadow. But that shadow, if I moved my box, would stay right here. Okay, I hope that's clear for everyone. I'm going to turn on my directional light again. Give it a second because I have it on moonlight, if you remember, like a bluish light, which has now changed the look of my entire setting. Let's see, if I turn off my moonlight, that'll help a little bit. You don't want to have too many, but you can see how the difference between the moon directional and the sky directional are slightly different. Okay. Also, I want to talk a little bit about materials while we're here, because you can actually change things to have luminous materials, like my statue, for example. So if I wanted to have this be like glow in the dark, I could change the materials on it. I I don't have, because this is a shader, do I have options? Let's see if I can. Yes. Okay, so I've changed it to metallic. Let's see if it does under specular too, it'll do the same thing. Um, no, it has to be under metallic. Usually if it's under metallic, it'll do that. But let's see. So we have this thing called emission right here. An emission is like where you can actually add a light for it here. So if I turn this little thing here and I click, I can add an emissive light, which is usually like super bright. You can change it here. Let's see. We can change the opacity down just a little bit, but so you can see that it will glow all by itself like it's glowing in the dark. So you just have to change your material. So you can add things um, to create glow in the dark sort of things without using lights as well. So I could change my cube. Where did I put my cube? Over here somewhere. So if I wanted to change my cube into a glowing cube, I could just go down, click emissions, and change what it glows like. So let's go to a green glow, maybe here. Okay. And you can see that my box is now glowing. It's really better if you have it super bright like this. And it shows you down here the emissive level. So you could make it even more glowing here. So that way you can actually create things that look like they're glowing, but that's just with their material. So this is all about lighting, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just going to give you a quick review. Remember, we talked about what contributes to your global illumination, the thing that illuminates all your world. It's going to be your skybox. You're going to have your skybox light. So I can turn up my skybox here and have that contribute to my light. Okay. You have your directional light. Those are all environmental lights. Um, remember, your directional light can also, I believe, have a cookie put on it. Here it is, cookie, right here. You can change your cookie if you want it to have a pattern. All your lights will have cookie options except your area light, I believe. Maybe even your area light does. And then you have a spotlight, which is very focused in a certain direction. You can rotate it, you can place it, you can increase the intensity, you can use it as baked or real time. I suggest if it's like on a statue or something like this, you bake it. Um, then you have your your point light, which lights a whole area. You can see it looks like this. I can turn on another point light just to remind you. Pull it out here so we can see it. Point light is just a general area, okay? And then your area light, which can light an area. Okay, so two directional lights with moonlight. All right, if you have any questions, just let me know either in the chat or you can send it to me directly.